All right, let's move from free agency to wide receiver. As promised, the top wide receivers. According to Chris, we're going to go from 5 to 1.
Yep.
Number 5, who you got? Who is
Number 5 is going to be A.J. Brown from the Ole Miss.
The other Ole Miss.
Other Ole Miss wide receiver who, again, is, I don't want to say a freak in his own way, but he has a freaky body.
Let's just say, down there at Ole Miss.
Oh, my gosh.
Jeez.
I mean, I'm embarrassed for Ole Miss, really, actually. I watched the film and go, how were they not better? This is embarrassing that their offense didn't move the ball up and down the field. But there's A.J. Brown on the left, who you could see as a specimen, but doesn't look as specimen-ish because there's a greater specimen next to him and DK Metcalf.
That's photoshopped, Chris, right?
Yeah, right.
No?
But A.J. Brown, I think this is what I would say, and you could see from the build there. He is, and we're going to say this about another receiver, he is a running back playing wide receiver in a lot of ways.
That's not good for a wide receiver.
Well, it's okay this day and age. I'm okay with that because, first of all, I don't think he's the type of receiver that's going to make a living on the outside, okay? I think this is a guy who is outside at times but has tremendous slot value as well. He's 6 foot. He's 226 pounds. He ran a 4.49, right? 4.49 for outside receivers is just not moving this day and age anymore. And the film confirms that. He is not that type of guy where you're going to go out and go, hey, we're going to put you outside. Stephon Gilmore is going to guard you all game. We expect you to get open. No, that's not going to happen. He is going to need some help. But he's got size, physicality, and he's a very good route runner for the size. You know, usually when you get big guys like this, they can't stick their foot in the ground and break out of cuts. And for all those, Andy, I'm going to stand up for a second here with this one. For all those who are going, what do you mean by stick a foot in the ground? Well, I mean this right here, basically. When they're going into a route and they're running, their ability to go boom and hit it and come out of the break is very important in creating separation. You know that as being an ex-quarterback. You know, he is a guy that can do that, which is rare for a guy that has those type of measurables. You know, sometimes you get guys that size and you see more of this kind of break, right? And against good DBs in the NFL, those are telltale signs of, oh, here goes a guy, he's breaking, I'm going to break on the ball and do that. Yeah. So that was an important thing that I looked at, certainly, with his ability. He's more of a quick than fast guy, right? And
that's almost better if he's a guy who can play in the slot.
Exactly
as well.
Right. Yes.
Would you rather have someone who's quick than a
No doubt. Yeah. I mean, hey, it depends how you're going to use him. But I do think, yes, at the end of the day, he is going to make his money as a slot receiver. I wrote down this as my comparison. I thought he was Quincy Enunwa, right? Quincy Enunwa for the New York Jets, right? Yep. Who's turned into a really good football player.
Big.
Kind of big, right?
Yeah.
Same kind of, really the same measurables. I think Quincy Enunwa was maybe 1.5 inches taller, but the same weight. Yeah. And really a comparable 40 time to go with it. But, yeah, he's going to be a guy that's going to be big, physical, be fearless over the middle, break tackles, going to block in the run game. He's going to be able to do all of those things.
Yes. He's your number 5 guy, and there's a lot of classes where the fifth best wide receiver is worth the first-round pick. Are you describing a first-round receiver there?
I don't think I am, no. Okay. I think this is a second-round guy. Somewhere, I would say, between 40 and 64 is where somebody like this guy goes, yes.
Who do you have at number 4?
Number 4, and this is one of my favorite watches, kind of a pleasant surprise. Deebo Samuel. I mean, and Deebo Samuel from South Carolina. Okay, 5'11", 214 pounds. To me, this is Jarvis Landry of the NFL draft this year. It's, again, not going to be the guy that goes outside and just burns by everybody for deep bombs down the field. But you want to throw screens to a receiver and have him get yak after he catches the ball and make plays happen, make people miss. This is your guy. I mean, he is almost always makes the first guy miss. He's got talk about another guy in a wide receiver in a running back's body. I mean, 5'11", 214. Yeah, he's dense and thick. And he plays with a fearless, most physical receiver in the draft. And when I mean he's fearless, Paul. You could throw
him. Talking about going over the middle?
Going over the middle, and there'll be 2 linebackers there, and he just goes up and extends his body and just is almost like, come on, hit me. Go ahead. Let's see if I go down.
And the hands?
And the hands are phenomenal. There's a few drops here and there.
Okay.
But the context of the drop matters, okay? The drops that I saw were over the middle like this, and he's about to get lambasted by some middle linebacker from Alabama. Okay, yeah, they're going to happen every now and then when you're living over the middle like that. But for the most part, yes. I mean, as you go through game after game after game, his hands are phenomenal. Snatches the ball out of the air, has incredible ability after the catch. And in fact, I think with the ball in his hand, he plays faster than the 4.48 speed.
You must have some kind of concern because the way you're talking about him now sounds like a number 1 or 2 guy. Why is he only 4 or not 3 or 2?
Well, I think because of the top end speed does mean something to me.
And his top end speed is?
It was 4.48.
Okay.
Okay. He's a guy that when he played the LSUs of the world that had some top tier corners, right?
Yeah.
They weren't scared of his speed. Like Greedy Williams on the outside there, they were kind of, okay, you want to come out here and you're going to have to prove to me you can run by me first. And once they realized, okay, you're not going to run by me, yeah, it made it hard for him to get open. Because on the outside, if you don't have the threat of running by people against quality corners in the NFL, then man, everything else is going to get harder. You know that. Okay, if you're a DB and he's not scared of you running by him, damn, it's going to be hard to run an out route or a comeback or an in cut because he's just going to constantly be waiting for you to break down because he's going to go, oh, well, if he does try to run by me, I'll run him down and make a play on the ball. But to me, this guy is, I'm going to say like a poor man's Percy Harvin in the way where they line him up at running back. He gets speed sweeps. He is very good that way. Again, I don't think this is a first-round talent, but I think this is a guy that goes somewhere in the second round.
If he has that kind of versatility, thinking about what the Chiefs do with their guys, I mean, teams will love to see it.
That's the new fad of the NFL.
Absolutely.
You got to have that guy. And, yeah, he's got a knack for making plays happen, breaking tackles. He can do a little bit of everything.
So he's at 4.
He's number 4, right?
Like what I heard there.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3. And this one might be the one that surprises people, but Marquise Brown from Oklahoma. Okay? Marquise
Why should
Brown.
that surprise me?
Well, I feel like when I read news or look at things, I mean, I see him in some mock drafts. He's a top 10, top 15 pick, and I just don't see that. Okay?
Does the injury scare you?
Yeah, the injury does scare me, certainly.
And the injury is?
He's got Liz Frank injury in his foot, right? So that's a little bit of an issue. I mean, you got to be able to jam your foot in the ground at wide receiver.
Right.
So that scares me. 5'9", 166 pounds scares me, okay? If we were going to start right off there. Yes, not that you have to be the biggest receiver in the world, but that is a really small wide receiver to go, okay, I'm going to draft you at top 15. Now go get open against Jalen Ramsey, who, by the way, is just as fast as you. And if he puts his hands on you, you're in deep trouble. Those are the things that scared me. Now, and I've heard comparisons to Deshaun Jackson. I want to say, hey, I get that comparison. The guy's top end speed when he opens up, it's special, okay? But Deshaun Jackson was 6 foot. I don't know if you've ever seen Deshaun Jackson.
He's little.
He's like tiny frame, but incredibly long arms. He's got arms of like a 6'3", 6'4" man. Okay. He's got a waist. He's got a torso that's about a foot big, and he's what I want to say is like almost a 6'3" gangly guy stuck in a 6-foot body. Okay, that's how I
his total frame is bigger than his actual height.
Exactly right. I think,
and you don't see that here.
I don't see that here. I see a smaller guy who, again, is a playmaker, can make make plays over the top. But these are the other things that worry me about him in this conversation. First of all, the Big 12 stinks. I mean, we're not talking about...
Guys are running so open, it's unbelievable.
Right, it's a flag football conference is kind of what I say. And think about the draft. You're not hearing about anybody in the Big 12 being talked about in the first round. You're not hearing about anybody in the Big 12 being talked about in the second round on defense. There was only 3 DBs from the Big 12 at the NFL Combine.
That's your old conference, man.
I know, it's scary.
What are they doing?
And 2 of them were Texas guys that were there at this. So, yeah, it's become a flag football conference where that's where it becomes a hard eval with these guys because Oklahoma is the clear-cut cream of the crop in the Big 12. They got NFL players all over the field, and at times they're playing against teams that are just overmatched. There's no way they're going to play against them. The offense is phenomenal. It's creative, so that makes him look a little better than I think what he really is. And, of course, he had a quarterback that was really special, too.
Yeah.
Here's my other little worry. And, again, this goes into the route running, and, Annie, I'm going to stand up one more time. But he is not a guy that I look at for his size that is incredibly quick, right? He's not jitterbug quick. He's not Julian Edelman, Jamison Crowder. And what I mean by that is, like, when I just say jitterbug, or you hear quicker than fast, right?
Yeah.
You know, his ability just to be twitchy and boom, and come out of a break. That's not kind of what he is. For a smaller guy, he has a little bit more of a build-up speed, and he's not as a precise route runner, again, as I would have thought for a guy that's built the way he is. It's a little bit choppy, and I mean that from not being able to stick the foot in the ground, and he doesn't have great hips.
I guess that's something that wide receiver coaches will see, and that, you know what, he's in the Big 12, he didn't have to run great routes to get open. We can teach him that.
I think to a degree, but you have to be able to take into account little things you see with the physical body too, to go, okay, are there certain things we can teach him, or is his body just limited in this capacity to where I don't think he'll be able to do this? And when I bring up the hips, that's one of the things that concerns me about him. He's another guy that the hips kind of have to go with him in running. His gait is not real fluid and open. So when he makes a break, it's always boom, 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 and then he comes this way and boom, boom, boom. There's no just boom, and like the hips turn and fly around. It's kind of all got to be in a line. He's a little bit of a straight liner that way.
Yeah.
To where between that, what I talked about with the Big 12, the size, hey, again, this guy's a first-round receiver all the way. So I want to make sure that's the distinction. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's, at least in my opinion, and from what I've seen, I just don't categorize him as high as I've maybe seen other people do it.
He's the first guy you've described, and we've only gone 5, 4, and 3. But with 5 and 4, I thought you were describing him in a way he could be 1 or 2. This is the first one where there were more concerns than positives.
I know. You know what? And I shouldn't have done that.
No, it's okay.
You know, but you're right. As I was talking, I was saying the same thing to myself.
It didn't sound like you were talking about the third best receiver in the class.
I know. And I shouldn't, because he is better than the other two I talked about. He really is. He has home run ability, certainly. But I guess what I know is I've heard so much about the guy. I think that's what kind of dictated. I'm responding to that a little bit to go, yeah, this guy's good. Don't get me wrong. But, man, people have made him out to be Deshaun Jackson, or this guy that's just going to be a superstar and take over the NFL right off the bat. And I have some questions, obviously, about that.
Let's move up to number 2.
Yeah, number 2, Paris Campbell, okay?
Buckeye.
Buckeye. Yeah. I think this is my favorite receiver in the draft. This is him right here. This guy's got superstar ability.
Why isn't he one?
Because the other guy is kind of a free can't-miss prospect. But, I mean, when I look at the guy out of this draft and go, this could be Odell Beckham Jr., it's Paris Campbell. Yeah, I do.
The talent's that good.
The talent is that good. The raw ability is there. I mean, for me, the first thing you talk about, he ran 4.31. He was the second fastest guy at the combine. Does it show up on tape, though? And it does show up on tape. You know, that's a good thing we need to bring up, too, because some guys run fast at the combine and the tape's not the same.
Yeah.
This was a guy where I would have watched the tape and gone, ooh, he might run like 4.29 or 4.3.
Because someone who runs 4.3 on tape, you watch 3 plays and you sit up and you say, that looks different.
Yes, no doubt.
And that's what you saw.
That looks different. I mean, the guy only ran 3 routes. He ran a shallow cross, he ran a fake the shallow cross and come back out, or he just ran straight. I mean, that's all they did with him. So it's limited as far as like a route tree resume, right? But when you are capable of catching shallow crosses and turning the corner and outrunning everybody on Michigan's defense, which has NFL players all over it, and you can run for 70-yard touchdowns and do speed sweeps and
shallow
things like
cross, you would describe as
just like a 4 yards, 3 yards, just coming across the formation, like right where the linebackers are.
And there's no real hard cut, put your foot in the ground with that either. It's kind of you veer into it.
You veer into it, and you hope you outrun the guy who's trailing you, and then you hope the quarterback throws you a ball that's semi-accurate so you can keep running at a fast speed and then outrun everybody. But, yes, I think from that standpoint, I was amazed by that. He's an effortless runner. I think he has a gear that really – him and the guy we're about to talk about have, where, you know, that's 6th gear. When they see the ball in the air or they see, wow, there's a clear path, he can strike it up another level to where he's the fastest guy on the field.
So he can go get it when the ball's in the air. How are his 50-50 ball skills?
Good, but you don't get to see a ton of that. And that's the things, again, with a lot of these receivers, you don't get to see extensive route tree combinations all the time. You kind of got to make determinations on, okay, I've watched the athlete, I've seen, yes, these routes, and I know that's not everything, but you got to make your determination. And the one thing I thought, too, is he was a phenomenal route runner. I know, and like I said, it's not an extensive
only
route
based
tree.
off of those 3 routes.
Basically, and maybe the slot out route.
Yeah.
But with the things I look at that tell me he's a good route runner is, again, the ability to set up defenders and also be able to stick his foot in the ground, not really lose speed. What we would say in the scouting world is his ability to burst in and out of transition is phenomenal. And he can be that guy where, oh, okay, I got a guy out here cover me. He leans him out, and then it's just bam, and he comes out of the cut, and he doesn't lose any of that 4.3 speed while he makes the cut. That is a special receiver to me. I was blown away by Paris. I knew he was explosive and fun to watch. He was better than what I thought he was.
Even more than you thought he was.
Yeah, I really did.
I hear you describe him and running only 3 routes basically on film, and I hear people say, well, why do you have to have a pro day? Why do they got to go look at him? This is a guy where the pro day, the individual workout, is huge.
Spot on.
Because they have to see you do things that you're not showing them on film.
Exactly right. That's a great point, too. And you're right. That's exactly what you have to do.
I just get tired of people
workouts.
ripping pro days. Oh, why do they have to do that? For some guys, it's huge.
It is. It's very important. And if you're a team who's about to make a multi-million-dollar investment in a player like that, it helps to know little things like that. I want
to see him run the
routes.
Right.
I've never seen him run a post corner. And I want to see if he can handle it.
Right.
And, okay, gosh, whoa, he did that with ease. Okay, then let's check the box there. Yeah, it is. It's very important. Plus, as you know, and the people out there listening, you know, sometimes you watch something on TV and you think one thing when you're TV scouting, and then it's another thing, like you talked about with Baker Mayfield at his pro day earlier, right? You get there on the field, and you see the guy in person, you go, whoa, he's a little bigger than I thought on TV.
Right.
He's a little quicker than it looked like on TV, and all of a sudden you start to piece it together and you go, okay, wait, this guy's special.
2 things jump out to me when you say that, as far as watching in person from field level. Number 1, you cannot tell how a quarterback throws.
Exactly right.
How it comes out of his hand unless you're right there. And someone who has the 4.3 speed and that burst, when you see on TV, it's like, okay, when you're there in person and someone is that legitimately fast,
you go, oh my
incredible.
Gosh, what's it like to be that fast?
It's different.
Yes, 100%.
I sidetracked you there. So we got 5 through 2. I think I know who number 1 is.
Number 1.
Let's have it.
Yeah, I mean, it's DK Metcalf. And again, you want to talk about a guy, I mean, this is one of the freakiest can't-miss prospects of the whole draft. I mean, I would be shocked if he is not drafted in the top 10, top 12. He is that type of player.
Giants at 6?
I mean, listen, if they wanted to go all in on Eli, I certainly would look at, Giants at 6. The Buffalo Bills, I believe they're the 9th pick in the draft, something there. They're certainly looking for a guy like that who Josh Allen can just launch the ball down the field. That would make sense to me here, too. I mean, this guy's a Greek god. I don't even know what else to say about him.
I know he's built.
Right.
I know he looks great, but just as a football player on tape, if you didn't know the 40 time at the combine, you didn't know how he looked with his shirt off, just watching him run routes, what'd you think?
The routes are not perfect, okay? But you have no problem when you turn on the tape going, where's DK Metcalf? He stands out right away. Before he even runs, you just go, who is that big, freaky, good-looking guy at wide receiver? And you go, well, of course, that's DK Metcalf. I mean, he stands out just in uniform alone. But then you turn on the film. And I watched the Texas Tech game. Second play of the game. Zoom, gone, touchdown. Turn on the Alabama game. First play of the game. Zoom, touchdown. So that says a lot, let alone he commands double teams in college football, which you don't see all the time. Now, is he the perfect player? No. I mean, Ole Miss.
What's your biggest concern?
His route running is very raw. He has raw technical aspects of his game. He's doing it all on just God-given natural ability. He's doing it with, I'm scaring you with my speed, and if I didn't scare you with my speed, I'm going to just push you off at the top of the route, and you're not going to be able to handle my power, and I'm going to be open, and then good luck trying to tackle me.
Right.
That's kind of how he does it. So he's not nuanced that way. But again, I don't know if he'll ever be perfect that way. You can't have it all.
Right.
Calvin Johnson wasn't a great double move route runner. Julio Jones isn't amazing at every route if we sat there and watched film. When you're 6'3", 228, and you run 4.33 and have a 40.5-inch vertical, you're not always going to be able to stop that big body going that fast just like that to come out of a break and run a precise route. You got to live with some of that, but either way, he's can't miss. I mean, this is one of those where have fun trying to find the negatives and all that, but the negatives are all team-based. And I know he has a neck injury, but he's Julio Jones.
Wow.
He's Calvin Johnson-ish that way. Yeah. And then, go ahead. Yeah.
So for those of us, for those of you who can see what we're doing here, we're showing basically a glorified pie chart of what he did at the Combine. Correct?
Correct.
And so tell me what I'm looking at.
Well, you're looking at, of course, all the areas that are shaded in red. I mean, basically he was, he's at the top, the 97th percentile in broad jump. I mean, vertical jump, he's at the 93rd percentile. But there's this big white gaping area there with 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle, right? Which was certainly less than average. I mean, it was not impressive as far as those times are concerned.
What do those things tell you about how it translates to a football field?
It tells me that, there's some routes, double moves, post corners, he's not going to be good at. It goes back to what we talked about. When you're that big and you're that explosive, you're not going to always have it all. And here's Julio Jones, very similar. Okay, yes, his 3-cone drill was very good, but the 20-yard shuttle, not great. When you're moving that fast and that explosive, it's hard sometimes to just stick your foot in the ground and come back and change directions right away. Calvin Johnson, you know what's missing here?
It's a hand size?
It's hand size. You're right. They're smaller hand size. But you know why this one looks different, Paul? Wow. Because on this graphic, the 20-yard shuttle and the 3-cone drill aren't even on there. You know why?
Why?
Because Calvin Johnson knew he wasn't very good at that. And he said, you know what? My film's awesome. Yeah. I run a fast 40. I'm really big. I'm not going to give you a chance to look at those type of things. Nor do those things always mean foolproof, you're awesome anyways. But, okay, here's DeAndre Hopkins. His is not that impressive of a pie chart there when you look at it. Or a spider web chart, whatever the hell this chart is, okay? Either way, you could see. But it doesn't. So all these numbers and tests, they don't always just mean you're going to be an awesome football player. And I'm not concerned that DK Metcalf isn't great at the 3-cone drill. They're not going to be asking him to run some of the routes Antonio Brown runs for the Oakland Raiders where, he runs in aggressively and then comes back out or, option routes, things like that. No, he's going to live on the outside and they're going to go scare him with your speed. We're going to throw comebacks to you when they're so scared of your speed, they're so far off. We'll just throw you comebacks or out routes or posts over the top and shallow crosses. They're going to play to his strengths, but he's a stud. And the class in general is pretty impressive.
Pretty good. Yeah. Sometime in the next few weeks, for the YouTube portion of what we're doing, I'd love to have you pick out a couple of plays, good and bad, and point out exactly what you're talking about now, and we can watch them.
Cool.
Do it. We can watch the strengths and take a look at the weaknesses as well.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. No, I'm all for that. Again, none of these guys are – it's college football. Offenses are limited. Quarterbacks are limited. It's hard sometimes to evaluate some of these receivers because all of them, I would say, their route trees were just not that extensive. Marquise Brown probably ran the biggest variety of routes because he was with a really creative offensive coordinator in Lincoln Riley, who's the head coach, and a guy in Kyler Murray who could deal the ball wherever he wanted to. And some of these other guys didn't have that except for Paris Campbell.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.